about a Category 4 hurricane is more than we have experienced before moving across the island. Gilbert was a Category 3 hurricane when it moved over Jamaica. It became Category 4 when it was heading to the Cayman Islands. Ivan was a Category 4 hurricane, yes, but the center did not pass over the island. Beryl was also a Category 4 hurricane, but it also did not impact us with a landfall.
Bringing with it, if current projections are maintained, unprecedented levels of rainfall across all parishes.
In the chart to the right, it shows 20 to 30 inches of rainfall. This is really an estimate. A better guide actually suggests that it will be more like 15 to 25 millimeters, 15 to 25 inches of rainfall that will move across Jamaica over the next few days. That is significant. This is much more than you can even imagine to experience. This is a major rain-producing event. It is considered to be producing catastrophic flooding.
Made even more severe by the slow-moving nature of the system.
With the slow movement of the system, it doesn't allow you to recover. It's not like it's going to just move off and then gradually the water runs off. It's going to sit there pouring water while it's barely moving. And that is a significant challenge that we have to be aware of. It's going to cause significant, widespread, catastrophic, life-threatening floods.
As the weather system nears, winds will also intensify significantly in the days to come.
What we're expecting after today is that there will be rapid intensification of this system. That's a phase that some of these hurricanes go through, especially in these days of climate change. We find that this rapid intensification is becoming much more frequent, where there is a period where they just jump from one category to the next. We expect that we will experience the hurricane force winds starting to impact the island on Monday morning. It's likely that it will be Monday morning. So we are going to go through almost 48 hours of storm force winds affecting sections of the island before the hurricane force winds actually begin to impact us.
The decorated meteorologist also made special reference about the often overlooked issue of storm surge, which is of particular concern for persons living near the coast.
Storm surge is also a flooding event, but it is not the flooding from the rainfall. It is flooding that comes in with the waters of the sea. With these tremendous winds that a Category 4 hurricane could produce, that will push the water onto the shoreline from the water of the sea onto the shoreline. And with it pulling back into the sea, it takes even houses and communities possibly back into the sea along with it. So if you are living anywhere near a coastline, it is important that you pay attention to the fact that storm surge is a real potential.
Joel Crosskill, CVM News.
And we are now joined live by the Principal Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Evan Thompson. Good evening, Evan.
Hi, good evening, Caroline. Good to be with you this evening.
Right, we just had you telling us as it is. Now we're hearing it's a Cat 2, is it? What more can you tell us? Because, you know, it's kind of frightening.
It is kind of frightening. I don't really want us to be frightened, but instead to be really pushed into a state where we recognize what reality is, what is happening out there, and what we're likely to experience. The system has been increasing in strength. Over a long period, there was very little development in terms of the wind speeds associated with the system, but it has, over the past few hours, been increasing in strength. It has moved from a tropical storm Melissa to Hurricane Melissa, and then now moving to Category 2. It's expected to continue to strengthen. It's going through what we call a rapid intensification process, which is something that we've experienced with a number of systems in recent times, especially in this age of the climate change that's taking place. And we see a quicker development of these systems moving through the categories as they move over warm waters. And that is what is happening. Very warm waters in the Caribbean Sea. And it is expected to continue to increase in strength over the next day or so.
Have you heard from your peers in the region, Domrep, Haiti, for example?
I have not heard much from those who have already been impacted. We've had lots of persons, though, calling, sending well wishes to us here in Jamaica because they recognize the threat that we are under and the kind of effects that we could experience from the system. So they are really in solidarity with us. Right across the Caribbean, I've been listening, I've been hearing many persons sending in comments and suggesting that they really do have our backs and they hope the very best for us in Jamaica.
A quick reminder, when can we get the next update from you?
We are actually preparing the next bulletin. I believe the last one was bulletin number 31. So we've really been going full force with these bulletins over the past few days. Every 3 hours, the next one will be issued at 8 o'clock this evening.
Thank you so much. That was Evan Thompson, Principal Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica. Thank you, sir, for that update. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness spoke earlier at a press briefing assuring Jamaicans the country is nationally prepared as Hurricane Melissa approaches. He urged citizens to stay vigilant, follow official guidance and take all necessary precautions to keep themselves and their communities safe.
And what we have done in terms of national preparedness is to put everything in place to be able to
Joel,
respond the hour after the impact. And that is how quickly we intend to recover from this hurricane. I urge everyone to be wise about this, to put aside the nervousness and the anxiety, and be practical, prepare, as I have outlined, how we should be prepared, and continue to pray. We have seen hurricanes at the last moment take a turn for the better. And I still have hope that the impact will not be as bad as it is shaping up to be. But we will prepare for the worst and continue to pray for the best.
In the meantime, as Hurricane Melissa edges closer to the island, other government officials are reassuring Jamaicans the country is prepared to face the potential impact. Our reporter Omari Wilson details the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining's update.
Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Floyd Green has assured Jamaicans that key agricultural and fisheries systems are being closely monitored. He says the ministry has activated its emergency protocols should the storm impact the island.
Our first phase has been to issue various advisories to our farmers and fishers around what to do in the event of this storm. Clearly, we now see that as the week has gone on, the storm has strengthened, and it appears based on the forecast we are certain to get significant rain and significant wind.
He's also urging farmers and fisherfolk to secure their crops, livestock and equipment as Tropical Storm Melissa approaches.
To take necessary precautions. Firstly, for them to be out there harvesting if they can. We have been working with a number of our farmers, our fruit farmers, our pepper farmers, to harvest what they have, to work with our agro-processes, to provide those items so that they can minimize their losses. Additionally, we've been saying to our livestock farmers to ensure that they have sufficient feed for their animals, ensure that they have sufficient clean water for their animals. If the animals are in a flood-prone area, move them to higher ground. It is very, very important that they act now.
Minister Green, with the support of RADA and the extension officers, have been visiting communities to ensure farmers are prepared. Banana and planting farmers are specifically being advised to remove overhanging trees and prop up their plants to minimize damage.
We don't want anybody to be trying to venture out in the weather event to try to save their crops and animals. Oftentimes that causes loss of life. So make these preparations now. Put your chemicals in a safe space so that when it is clear, you can get out there and you can get back to what we love to do.
The agricultural sector reportedly suffered $7 billion Jamaican dollars in losses following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Omari Wilson reports for CVM News.
And the Minister of Local Government, Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, urges construction developers across the island to be mindful of the materials and machinery they leave exposed during the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
There are several major construction sites that still has materials, sand, gravel, steel, and in some cases, cranes still hanging in the air. I'm going to make a general appeal this morning to all construction sites, not just only in the corporate here, but right across the country, that they must start to take the necessary steps to remove cranes, steels, sand, blocks, which will only contribute more to the blocking of our drains and can have devastating effects on individuals, people's property, and can result in extreme damage.
And Minister McKenzie also spoke of his intent to formally request that the Prime Minister considers the approval of mandatory evacuation for a number of highly vulnerable communities.
Provisions are made in the Disaster Risk Management Act for compulsory evacuation. Places like Rocky Point in Clarendon, Taylor Land in Bull Bay, New Haven, Riverton City, and many other communities that will be affected, where lives will be threatened. I will therefore be writing to the Prime Minister, based on the recommendations of the Acting Director General of ADPEM, that we take those steps to advise those communities of the intent to declare this order. But I want to make an appeal to persons who are living in these communities. Port Royal is one such community that is of concern, that you can start to make arrangements to move and go and spend time with relatives and friends. It is in your interest that this is done.
Lots more to come here on CVM News at 7. Stay with us. Thanks so much for staying with us. A Manchester resident is in hospital after a freak near-death incident. Members of the Mandeville Fire Brigade rescued him from a sinkhole after he disappeared suddenly while walking on a property in his community. This hole on Perth Road, Mandeville, was the source of an emergency call from the police to the Mandeville Fire Department Friday morning, sometime after 11 o'clock. Sergeant Emric Needham is in charge of the Manchester Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
I was informed that a young man had fell in this hole that we entered in was over 40 feet deep, was there lying with injury, who could not move, and so my team harnessed him onto a stretcher and have him lifted from that descent that he was in. And he was packaged and sent off to the hospital.
Information is the area was covered. However, that did not prevent the man, who is from the community, from tumbling in. It's unclear how long he was inside the dark space before an alarm was raised. Can you imagine if, we had gotten the rain and he was down there?
Yes, it would have been somewhat more difficult as it would have been more slippery and water would be going into that area as well. So yes, we are happy that it was not raining, and where he was some distance down in that cave. So very difficult area to maneuver, but my team was able to do that safely, and I'm happy that they did so and they came out without any injury or any further difficulties.
I realize it's kind of even hard to describe this place because it looks like a hole in the ground, or what is it really? Is it in, because we say cave, we're saying a hole? What?
Persons would normally call it a natural sinkhole.
And is
so
it in?
It's a natural hole that is designed in the country area, you call it sinkholes. So it is natural. It took water away from the main and channel it away even underground to the sea. So it's a natural waterway sinkhole.
But it's not. Is it in the road? It's not in the road, is it?
No, it is not in the road. It is on a private property.
How can we now protect anyone else from falling in?
Well, I think proper covering would do, and the authority will have to look at that as to how, though it is on private property, it poses a danger to the persons who occupy that space, and they would have to make recommendation as to how they secure that area, whether you fence it, that persons don't just walk into that area. A fencing would be great because you would not just walk over into that space.
We go now to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. In Grenada, calls for greater transparency echoed through St. George as citizens marched in protest of a proposed U.S. radar installation at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. More from GBN News.
The Grenada Coalition for a Zone of Peace, joined by concerned citizens, organized a peace march earlier today, urging the government to reject any move to install foreign radar equipment in Grenada without full public consultation. The march began around 3 p.m. at the T.A. Mauricio Community College roundabout in St. George, drawing supporters from various civil community groups. Organizers explained that the event was held in response to a request from the United States to place radar equipment and technical personnel at Maurice Bishop International Airport. The coalition maintains that such decisions must be made transparently and with respect for Grenada's sovereignty. Marchers carried banners and chanted messages highlighting Grenada's long-standing position as a zone of peace. They called on government leaders to ensure that no foreign military or civilians equipment is approved without open dialogue.
In solidarity with trying to ensure that Grenada remains a zone of peace, the Caribbean remains a zone of peace, and in particular to ensure that no military radar is installed on the soils of Grenada or in our territories, and also to ensure that no third country or foreign nationals are deported to Grenada.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has assured citizens that there is no reason for alarm over the USS Gravely docking in Trinidad and Tobago. We hear from TTT News.
In a statement issued on Friday, the Prime Minister welcomed the United States Navy and Marine Corps to our shores for joint military training with the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. On a Thursday evening, the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs issued a statement confirming that both the USS Gravely and the Marine Expeditionary Unit will arrive on the 26th and leave on October 30th. The Prime Minister said their arrival augurs well for our nation as it, quote, represents a continued partnership in strengthening our national security, enhancing operational readiness, and improving protective capabilities, end quote. She also sought to condemn detractors who saw the arrival of the USS Gravely as something sinister. The Prime Minister reminded that in December 2024, the former administration renewed and amended a status of forces agreement with the United States to facilitate interoperability between the two countries' armed forces.
And in international news, US President Donald Trump says he's expecting to secure trade agreements with his Chinese counterpart when they meet in South Korea. But it's not the only pressing issue. We turn to Al Jazeera.
Embarking on a tour of Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea, U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to meet with more than 24 world leaders. But the most anticipated meeting at the APEC summit is a potential face-to-face conversation between Trump and China's leader, Xi Jinping.
I think something will work out. We have
Trade tensions between China and the United States have been escalating since Donald Trump returned to office, adding more tariffs on Chinese goods. China retaliated with export controls on rare earth elements critical for U.S. defense and technology.
The rare earth is the least of it. Look, the tariffs are much more powerful than the rare earth.
Trump's been under pressure from U.S. farmers unhappy with declining orders from China for U.S. soybeans. But the president is optimistic he'll convince Xi to reverse that.
And I think he's going to be very receptive.
A November 1st deadline to strike a deal is looming. That's when the U.S. increases tariffs on Chinese goods to 155%. But Trump and Xi won't just talk trade. A recent call between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin also raised the possibility of a bilateral or even trilateral agreement with China to de-escalate the potential use of nuclear weapons.
And that's it for regional and international news.
You know, there comes a time when you have to stand for what matters, even in the face of tough situations. How? Find your spark. And if you triumph, help others along the way. This is Inspire Jamaica.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
Ready? Yes. All right, smile.
Finding this spark was not easy. Now he's a picture of confidence, a commanding voice, an advocate, a guest speaker, but he's still a youngster. We've watched his growth.
How long have you been a survivor?
I have been a survivor for 3 years now. 3 years, I would say. 3 years now, yes. 3 years, and that journey was something that shaped my life from then. My choices in life, my thinking ability, everything, my whole persona has been changed, and I've learned so much from it, and in every problem I try to learn from it. So that was a time in my life where I was depressed, yes, at once, but I found my spark, and instead of being depressed and sad, I tried to learn about stuff. So that was just me going through it.
I know you want to think about, but remind us what it is that you battled.
Oh, I battled, call it leukemia, but a more detailed lymphoblastic leukemia, right? So that's basically blood cancer that most people know it as.
Hello everyone, I am Chanel Towers, a registered nurse from the University Hospital of the West Indies. I work in the pediatrics department, and today I just want to remind you that I'm supporting the children with cancer.
I'd say to Jamaica, get on board with the foundations, get on board with the work that Dr. Ismail is doing at the hospital. The parents need us, the children need us. The children are our future of this country, and if we support them so that they can fight this battle, this very dangerous disease that that's robbed them of so much of their childhood, then we can of course brighten their hope and give them inspiration for a future, a brighter future.
We often hear the stories from single mothers, but meet Nickel Green, a father of 2 girls. The younger is his fighter.
She have a stage 4 cancer. She's been like 4 or 5 years now.
How do you cope?
I can say with one thing, God is the greatest. With God. That's it. And believe it. I went through the surgery with her alone by the hospital. I took back from alone, by medications and all of that alone. It's just by the help of God, honestly. It's not by man, honestly, because talking to the doctor and the doctor tell me that it's worse than stage 4, I was like, I'm losing her. I'm really gonna lose my daughter at this age. And then when I see her make a turn, I have to say, that's not now mankind work.
I would like to salute the father, big respect to him, big respect. As one parent alone, the struggle, can't imagine, it must be immense. Me can't imagine, I'm not a parent, but from my child point of view, it's a lot. And as I say, I must salute him again, because him know the sacrifices him there for make, him know him daughter there for go through, him know him there for beef him daughter, no matter what. And the daughter, I have much as respect for the little girl, knowing that she's at such a tender